Good morning. Uh, Seems like the season has flown by in a lot of ways now that we're here headed into the rivalry game in the last week. And, you know, I think that we've got some momentum here in the last half of the year. Certainly we'll have to play our best game of the year to have a chance in Athens on Saturday. I think they're very talented. Uh, they've improved. As you watch the tape, I think they've gotten better as the year has gone along. Certainly defensively, there's no question they've gotten much better the last 4 or 5 games. Uh, Offensively, the quarterback is a very experienced, talented player. The 2 freshman tailbacks, very good receiving core. And then defensively, they've probably got, I don't know, 6 or 7 NFL guys at least, I would think, on that defense. Linebacking core physical and fast. Jarvis Jones gets a lot of notoriety, and rightfully so. He's an awfully good player, but Alec Ogletree just jumps off the film at you. I mean, the things that guy can do, the way he runs and makes plays, he's a special player as well. And then the 2 safeties are very good. So they've got a lot of good football players on their team. Well, they played. They played their base defense, which is what they've done against us the last 2 years. They didn't do anything a whole lot differently, or whatever. And we've played each other enough now. I don't think there'll be a big guessing game as to what we're doing and what they're doing. It'll come down to execution and trying to maybe have the right thing on at the right time. But they've got their plan, and they're gonna run with it.
How would you compare this defense you're going to face with some of the other stronger defenses you've faced in your time here?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I probably have a better idea after the game, but they're plenty talented. I mean, I don't think you're going to play anybody with more talent than them.
Right. A lot was made last week, with Georgia about how can be a benefit to them because they'll play the offense 2 weeks in a row. For you to see just their personnel and how they play the schemes and how they handle blocks, that sort of thing. To what degree is that?
All I had to do is put on last year's tape, and I could see the same thing. I mean, it's similar. Georgia Southern lined up in a lot of formations that we haven't used, or that's a little bit different. But the nuts and bolts are the same. So, I mean, we'll have an idea.
If Orwin is hobbled going into the game, would St. John be a similar type runner that you would use? For a power type runner?
Well, we'll see. I mean, right now we're thinking Orwin's going to play, but if he doesn't play, somebody else will have to step up. We don't have a set plan for the way we use Orwin. We just kind of play, and somebody else would be in that spot.
What's the vibe like on campus this week?
Is it different from other weeks in the year?
I don't know so much about campus. I mean, clearly. Our football team and program understands it's a big game. It's a rivalry game. We're not really around. I'm not. The guys could answer that. I'm not really around the students or the campus that much to really have a feel for
it. To follow up on the question about Orwin, you seem to have developed so much depth that it was almost easy to miss that he was not there in the fourth quarter. Can you talk about how that depth has progressed through the season, especially at the ABAC?
Well, I think anytime you take a player of his magnitude out, I mean, clearly you'd miss him if he doesn't play. But there is some depth at that position. I mean, Robbie Godhigh's played well. You've got St. John Days now, B.J. Bostic, Deion Hill, Tony Zennon. So all those guys have played. So, it's not as if you would have to put somebody out there who hasn't played in a game.
That group, it seems like they've all kind of come along this year. I imagine it's Lamar's done a pretty good job with them in developing guys at different stages of their development.
Yeah, I think that they've gotten better. Robbie's played really well. And when we move St. John in there, now that he's kind of getting the grasp, he's still got some fundamental things he's got to get better at, like they all do. But there's some good athletes in there.
You had a chance to use Golden and Milton in the some of the sub packages against Duke. What did you see from them in that game?
Well, they did okay with what we asked them to do. Again, we've got some stuff we got to clean up on that. We got awfully deep at times, and I think that for the most part they did kind of what we asked them.
Is St. John at A back for good, you feel like?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tony, is there something he needs to do to get more playing time? Obviously, he's got to.
Can't play them all. I mean, that's
Right.
just what you said. It's like I said when somebody asked before. I mean, Tony will get his chance. He hasn't done anything wrong, but right now, by the flow of the game, you've got Orwin, Robbie, BJ, Dion, Tony. I mean, you can only play two at a time. So you don't necessarily want to take Orwin and Robbie out of the game a lot because they're playing well. St. John played about 30 snaps. I think B.J. Bostic played 8 and Dion played about 10. So that's kind of the way it went. Now the next week, Tony could be getting the 30 snaps that somebody else got. It's just kind of what's happened.
You mentioned earlier about the defense for Georgia kind of finding their groove. What about Murray? I think since the first half of the Florida game, he's 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Have you seen anything he's doing differently the last month to kind of find his groove?
Yeah, well, I think that they've done a good job with pressure, and he hadn't had a lot of pressure. The teams that get to him with four-man rush that are physical and better, like any quarterback, they're going to struggle. And the teams that they've played can't get to him. And if you don't get to him and he has time, he's going to pick you apart.
I apologize if this has been asked already, but what's your reaction to the news about Maryland?
I don't know that I have any. Honestly, I don't. Hadn't really thought about it. I think that in the landscape of college sports now, that's going to happen more than you know. And if they feel like that's the best for them, then that's what they need to do. They've been a part of the ACC for a long time, and the ACC is going to be here probably for a long time. So all that stuff is done above my pay grade, so I usually worry about it.
Paul, you got a bank of films to look at as to how Georgia wants to try to defend.
Mm-hmm.
How much did last week's game with Georgia Southern help with that bank of films to maybe to look at to watch?
They played pretty much the same way they've played us the last 2 years. I mean, they've got a system and they're going to play it. It's probably better than looking at them play somebody that's a completely different offense. But at the same time, we could have put on last year's tape and saw the same thing. So it's, if anything, it probably helps them a little bit with the speed of it. They'll be accustomed to the speed of it more so than they would if they hadn't played it, I would think. And anytime you play something 2 weeks in a row, you're probably going to be better at it.
Obviously, the week off preparation thing's kind of been one of those media-created concepts, but obviously the last 2 weeks you beat teams that had an extra week to prepare. Are you hoping that puts an end to that?
It will till the next time we play somebody with a week off and they beat you and then it'll come back. I mean, people are going to think and say what they want. I learned, I quit trying to argue with people a long time ago about that. They have their opinions, I have mine. So.
Got asked, and you mentioned you're a little under the weather. You haven't gotten the flu thing that's going around, have you?
I have, and it's going around the team still. We've still got several guys with it. So, yeah, it's an issue.
Paul, your kids seem to be pretty resilient going on the road. I mean, this is obviously a venue that people talk about as being a good venue to play in. You've been successful in this venue.
Right.
Why are your team so good when they go on the road in handling that part of the travel?
I don't know. I don't dread playing on the road. In fact, personally, I like it sometimes, and I think that for us, the way that the year was going, it was good to get on the road 2 weeks in a row. But you know, I have some ideas why we play better there than here, but I won't tell you why. But if we don't play well up there Saturday, we'll get embarrassed. That'll go away because they're awfully good.
Ajan was unable to play Saturday because he was sick. How is he doing now?
He's okay. He should be okay. He's already got it. This thing's, I think, normally has been lasting about 3 to 4 days with our guys, and so he's clear. What we're hoping is we don't come down with a large group. We've got a few with it now. You just don't want a large group to get it Wednesday and Thursday. You know, that'd be the killer.
Can you talk a little bit about Adam and kind of his rise up through your
Yeah, I think that Adam's getting better every week. I think he's got a really bright future and going to be a good player. You know, I said in here a couple of weeks ago, I think we've got some young defensive linemen that are going to be pretty good. It's a process. You know, he's a freshman and he's learning every week, but he's got the right attitude and the right skill set. He wants to be good, and I think he's going to work at it. And he's got the physical tools to be good before he leaves here.
3 straight checks in the win column say you're playing well, but do you feel you're playing the best football you have all year, peaking at the right time, so to speak?
We played pretty well offensively the last couple of games. We've played okay defensively in spots. The second halves have been better. You know, we'll see. Like I said, it's going to be a huge challenge. You don't want to get into a game with them where you have to score every possession. I mean, they're too good on defense for that. So, you know, we've got to find a way to get them stopped some this week.
In regard to this bug, is there anything you can do besides tell them to get sleep and not sneeze on each other? Or?
No, don't think so. It kind of seems to be a viral thing going around. It's just one of those deals.
Regards to the offense, the offensive line, is it playing as well as certainly at this point of the season, but like at any time that you've been here?
Yeah, the last few games we probably played as well as we have since I've been here. And what they're doing is they're playing hard. They're getting a lot of guys cut off, and they're getting downfield and getting a lot of guys on the ground when they get downfield. And when you do that, it gives you a chance to hit some big plays.
I guess on the offensive line thing, it seems like maybe their confidence has gone up. Or, I mean, there was a play last week, I think Bino threw a guy like 6 yards in the air on a play, like a corner or something. I mean, it just seems like they're a lot more aggressive. Or you see that?
I think we're playing with more energy and playing a little harder. But, you know, the other thing is, like I've said all along, too, those kids they've been young kids. I mean, they're not – you don't have any seniors out there. So by this time of the year, they've played a lot of football. They've played. But, you know, the only offensive lineman that's played that we'll lose is Amorge Uzi. The rest of those guys will still be back, and some of them are going to be back for a couple years. So it's I think the more they play, it's like anything. The more you do something, hopefully the better you get at it. Like I said, now they're going to get challenged this week. I mean, they got some big jokers. So it's that nose tackle, they list him at, 350? That joker's got to be close to 400 pounds. He's huge now. He's a big man.
One more on the flu thing. Do you guys as a team give the flu shots to the players? Is that?
You know, you'd have to ask the trainer. I couldn't answer. I couldn't answer that. It's I think they do. If they're like the regular students, I'm sure they're available to them. I don't know if they got them or not. No, we didn't set up an appointment for them as a team.
You and your wife will be delivering chicken soup to each player as well, correct, Paul?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, nice wrinkle with the little lateral back to Bino. I hope that you're going to work that in again this week.
Well, now that we see that he's capable, we'll have to get a whole, system for him, or a whole set of plays. See if we can pitch it to him on the option or something.
Can you quantify what Tevin's done in his career? He's been a heck of a football player for you. I know you loved his leadership and what he's been brought to the table that way.
I think he's been solid. I mean, he's like a lot of people in that, you know, he's had great games and games that aren't so good, but that's what happens in a career. Everybody doesn't play great every game. but I think he's been consistent. You know, the one thing I think that he's had to carry sometimes is it's hard to carry everybody else if they're not doing their job. And as a quarterback, as you take the hit. And I think he's been resilient. He's kept a pretty good attitude. He's just been a good kid, a good teammate, somebody that likes to compete. I think he's gotten the max out of his ability.
So often we talk about a senior quarterback handling the mantle down to a young kid that's trying to learn and what it is to be in a program and play. Have you sensed that with Tevin handing it then?
I think they try to help each other. Vad's personality is a little different. Vad's a very confident kid anyway, and he's got a little swagger about him. And he reminds you of what you're looking for in a quarterback. I think he's got that that guys have. And my big concern with him has been not to throw him to the wolves before he's ready to be thrown to the wolves and lose that. You want that guy to think he can beat the world. And so we've kind of brought him along slowly, and I think he's got a bright future. The other kid that is Justin Thomas, he's the same way. He's got a little bit of that it factor too. So it's, I feel like we're in pretty good shape at that position moving forward.
Coach, what was your reaction and the players' reaction when learning you're going to be competing in the ACC championship game?
Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of reaction from me. We were in a staff meeting, and I'd kind of resigned myself to the fact to wait and see what happened this week. I felt like we were in a pretty good spot. Worst we could do was tie. And really we're focused on Georgia. We hadn't even talked about that because, like I said, we know that we've got to get ready to go up there and play a really good team. And if you're not dialed in and focused on them, you get embarrassed.
I saw Saturday that Tyler was introduced with the seniors. Can you talk about what
Tyler Kinney?
kind of Tyler, what's that him?
Yeah, he's going to graduate this spring and probably move on.
You know if he already has like a job opportunity
I don't know if he has a job or not. I just know that he's going to graduate, and he's not played a lot, and doesn't make much sense to come back and try to get 12 hours if you're not starting and playing. So I think he's ready to move on with his career.
Do you expect that there might be others in his situation that?
There's always others.
Jeremiah, he's had, I think, 6 sacks the past 3 games. And obviously it's easy to point to that and say he's playing better, but is he actually, is it just a matter that he's actually getting the quarterback needs, or the quarterback's waiting, or is it, is there an element of luck to it and he's actually been playing the same, or how would you?
No, he's played the same position. Clearly he's played better. He's, made some plays, but we haven't done anything special to try to change what he was doing early. Other than we've changed defensive schemes a little bit, but we're still, it's not, totally different from what we were doing.
I know last year when you started 6-0 and then you finished 2-5, I think some of that was attributable, maybe a lot of it was attributable to the schedule. And I'm curious if you think some of that's the same case this year.
Always is. Yeah. Look at anybody in the country. It's the same for everybody. It's not rocket science. It's the same. You play really good teams, your record's not going to be as good. It's just the way it works, week in and week out. Look at any of the teams. Look at the teams at the top. It's the same way.
I guess, has there been a little frustration this year on your part, given kind of how some of the media and fans have portrayed things? You really
media frustrate me? Come on.
You've really been, one game every year you've been here. It's one game away from playing an ACC championship, and you've won, share of the title 3 of the 5 years here. So that's never been done here. I guess, kind of, what's your reaction towards that?
I don't have a reaction. I said a long time ago when I took the job, nobody's going to have higher expectations than I do for myself and the program. So unless we win every game, I'm disappointed too. You know, a lot of times people have a way of rewriting history sometimes, but that's just the nature of it. Fans are going to be fans. They expect to win once a week. They all do. So I think you would rather have them like that than having them not care. So it's, you know, it's like I've said before, I try not to spend a whole lot of time on things I got no control over. So at the end of the day when you finish, you know, we'll look back and see how it went. But that's the thing I think that's changed a lot lately is it's instant gratification. It's weekly now, or you know, nobody wants to look at a body of work or a body of whatever. I was thinking, I've been here. This is my 5th season. I think there's 3 coaches in the league that are here when I came. It's about the same in the SEC. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. You know, so there's an old adage, what do they say? There's 2 kinds of coaches, them that's been fired and them that's going to get fired. So it's just the way people look at it.
Do you have an update on Will Jackson?
Yeah, he's playing. He's up. He practiced yesterday. He'll be out there today. He's good to go.
I'd imagine starter at right tackle would be
Morgan Bailey.
or, yeah,
Mhm.
figured. Okay.
I think Orwin was held out yesterday. Are you expecting him to go today?
I don't know. I don't think he'll be full speed today. If he goes, he'll probably be in red again today. We've got, like I said, you get this late in the year with guys who have played a lot of football. There's a lot of them that are partial go or all the way up to Wednesday or Thursday. You know, it's a pretty violent game. So, and we're to the point now where we practice. You've got to cut back. I mean, this will be game 12. We're going to play 14 games. That's a lot of games. We're at 6 without a break. We're going to play 7 straight games again without a break. So if you don't back off of them a little bit, you're not going to have anybody left.
Are there any superstitions you've been working on the past 3 weeks?
Same old, same old. Yeah, it doesn't change much for me. Trying to score more than the other team, that's the biggest superstition you got. I found that usually works.